The courtroom was silent, but not calm. Every person sitting inside that packed hall could feel something unusual in the air. A tension so heavy, it felt like the walls themselves were holding their breath. On one side stood a defendant who believed he was completely right, confident, loud, and aggressively misinformed about the law he was trying to challenge. On the other side sat Judge Fleischer, calm, expressionless, observant, and ready to deliver a moment that would completely change the direction of this courtroom. What happened next would leave the entire room speechless. Welcome back to the channel. Today's case is one of the most intense courtroom moments involving Judge Fleischer, where a defendant walks in completely convinced that the system is wrong, and that he alone understands the truth. But what he doesn't realize is that confidence without knowledge doesn't win in court. It only accelerates consequences. If you enjoy real courtroom breakdowns, legal drama, and powerful judge moments, make sure to subscribe, because this one escalates fast. The case begins like many others. A defendant is brought in for review after repeatedly violating legal instructions related to a prior ruling. He believes the ruling itself was unfair, claiming that he has done his research and understands the law better than the court. According to him, the system is flawed. According to him, the judge is mistaken. According to him, everything is being misinterpreted. But there's a major problem. None of his arguments are legally valid. They are based on assumptions, misinformation, and misunderstood legal concepts he gathered from unreliable sources. And unfortunately for him, he is about to present these arguments directly in front of Judge Fleischer. The judge opens the session. "State your position," Judge Fleischer says calmly. The defendant immediately leans forward. He begins speaking rapidly, trying to assert dominance in the courtroom. He challenges the legality of the previous order. He questions jurisdiction. He insists that the court does not understand the law correctly. At first, the courtroom is quiet, but slowly, subtle reactions begin to appear. Legal officers exchanging glances, clerks lowering their eyes. Knowing this is not going to end well, Judge Fleischer does not interrupt. He simply listens. And that silence becomes more powerful than any objection. The defendant continues. He references laws that do not apply to his case. He misinterprets legal terminology. He mixes personal belief with legal fact. And most importantly, he speaks with complete confidence in information that is fundamentally incorrect. Finally, Judge Fleischer raises his hand slightly. The room goes still. "Let me clarify something," the judge says calmly. The tone is not angry, not emotional, just final. Judge Fleischer begins breaking down each of the defendant's claims. 1, he says, you are referencing statutes that are unrelated to this jurisdiction. 2, your interpretation of legal authority is incorrect and not supported by law. 3, belief is not a substitute for legal evidence. With every sentence, the defendant's confidence begins to crack. The courtroom, once uncertain, now clearly understands the situation. This is not a debate. This is correction. The defendant tries to interrupt. He insists again that the court is wrong, but Judge Fleischer stops him immediately. "This court does not operate on assumptions," he says firmly. "It operates on law, evidence, and jurisdiction." A pause. Then the judge continues. "You were given clear instructions. You chose to ignore them based on misinformation. That is not a defense." The words hit harder than expected. The defendant goes silent for the first time. The atmosphere shifts completely. What started as a confident argument has now turned into a clear legal collapse. Observers in the courtroom sit straighter. Even the defendant's legal counsel looks visibly concerned, because at this point, it is no longer about opinions. It is about consequences. Judge Fleischer reviews the record one final time. Every violation, every ignored instruction, every failed compliance. The pattern is undeniable. Judge Fleischer leans forward slightly. His voice lowers, but becomes sharper. "This court has considered your statements," he says. A pause. "But they do not change the facts." The defendant looks down. For the first time, no argument comes out. The judge continues. Based on repeated non-compliance and disregard for lawful orders, this court has no option but to issue a strict sentence. The gavel is lifted. A final moment of silence fills the room. Then it drops. The sentence is delivered. Firm, final, unavoidable. The defendant sits still. No reaction, no response. Just silence. The realization settles in. Not only was the argument incorrect, but it actively made the situation worse. Judge Fleischer closes the file. This court is adjourned. And just like that, it is over. But the impact remains, because everyone in that courtroom witnessed something important today. Confidence without understanding does not stand in court. Cases like this serve as a reminder that the legal system is built on structure, not emotion. Judge Fleischer's approach may appear strict, but it reflects one core principle. The law is not negotiable based on personal belief. And when misinformation enters a courtroom, it does not weaken the law. It only strengthens the consequences. If you enjoyed this courtroom breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below what you think about this case. Was the judge too strict or completely justified? Let us know. See you in the next case.